Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 5 of the F124 Let's Make Lando Norris World Champion career mode, the alternate series to the real life Formula 1 campaign. This weekend we return to Mexico, and if you missed out on the video that went live from COTA last week, go back, check it out. The real life race was pretty entertaining. I would argue ours was even better though, which should probably go to show just how insane it was. We had a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing with Verstappen, just like Lando did in real life. Ours didn't end up with penalties though, or controversial moments like that. It was just good, hard, and clean racing where no one was barged off of the circuit. It does though mean with 5 races left to go of the season, Max Verstappen currently has a 60-point lead at the top of the table, so we're just going to need to try and win as many races as we can before the campaign is done and dusted, and just hope that he either runs into an issue somewhere or isn't as quick around a couple of venues towards the end of the campaign. If you're new, please do remember to get yourself subscribed as well. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs here on the channel at the moment. And yeah, let's head out then here to Mexico City. Well, this track can be a bit of a tyre killer inside the F1 series, but a good balance in your car will often really go against that. So it's going to be an interesting weekend to kind of see as to how we get on. It looks like Verstappen and Red Bull have kind of taken a step forward once again, but Ferrari, I think, were the big talking point throughout the weekend at the Circuit of the Americas as well. Obviously, absolutely dominated whilst all that drama was going on behind them. Yeah, they walked away with a 1-2, which, yeah, obviously has pretty much caught them up to Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. I wouldn't count Ferrari fully out of the Constructors' Championship, like, entirely against McLaren. The gap's only about 50 points, isn't it? And that can very quickly swing in one or another's favour between now and the end of the year. Of course, Mexico, though, one of Verstappen's best tracks on the calendar as well, so he'll be looking to try and get a good result under his belt this weekend. And, well, personally, I'll be honest, I've kind of lost a bit of hope that the real-life season is going to continue kind of to give us a fight right towards the bitter end. If you watch or listen to the podcast Jamie and I did in the week, you'll kind of know, yeah, that I've kind of given up. I just don't think Lando Norris, unfortunately, has got what it takes this year. He's not driving like a man that deserves a world championship. But out of the final corner, P2 here in Mexico. We were a little way off Max, but I'm happy with that. Well, as was to be expected, then Verstappen would storm to pole position here, but the fact there was only a quarter of a second between myself in P2 and Charles Leclerc all the way down in P10, I think there's going to be a lot of fighting going on this afternoon, especially with how difficult it's going to be to break out of the DRS range of each other. Let's head into the race.
Welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, named after the brothers whose idea for a race in Mexico was so compelling that it got presidential approval. We're glad it did. Welcome to the Mexico City Grand Prix. We are 2,285 meters above sea level. It is always a tough test on the engines. Cooler temperatures today will help. 17 corners out there, 7 to the left, 10 to the right. It's 2.6 miles. And when you get to turns 13 and 14, the Fora Sol former baseball stadium, it will still be loud. They will still be cheered, despite the wet weather. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Hamilton, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Gasly, Albon, Ocon, Bottas, Joe, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, and Logan Sargent. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting rain here. The first wet Mexican Grand Prix of the modern era. Of course, this circuit returned to the F1 calendar back in 2015. And yeah, we've never seen rain around this venue when it comes to race day Sunday. It's kind of been rumoured a couple of times. It's kind of been on the radars. But yeah, it's never actually happened at the end of the day. I'm looking at this weather, though, and I think we could see a kind of a switch from full wets to inters and then inters to dries by the end of the afternoon. So this is actually going to be a really, really interesting one. Normally, these 35% races are a simple one-stop, but strategy today is going to really come into play. And I'm happy that we've opted for such a high downforce setup now. 5 red lights here on the grid. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. Both Verstappen and I trying to get off to a pretty decent getaway. We've actually found the launch, though, in the second phase there as we make our way down in towards turn 1. Verstappen will sense that, but here comes Oscar Piastri as well, as the Dutchman is desperately going to try and box us in towards that first corner there. Oh, we have a little bit of contact with George Russell, and that has not been the start we needed. Not sure who else that was down at the first corner that we made contact with. Carlos Sainz as well, so we are just playing bumper cars through the first couple of corners. I can't help but feel that it might have been Fernando Alonso that was just on my outside there and got a little bit caught out. Wrong place at the wrong time, but that has been the perfect start for Max Verstappen, as yeah, just Piastri and Russell really did pinch us in down at that first turn. But I mean, yeah, we don't see the wet tyres used that often, obviously both in real life Formula 1 or inside this game, so going to be interesting to kind of see how we fare over these opening few laps here as to, you know, how quick the switch to inters is going to happen. You know, whether that rain will stop by the end of the afternoon there. As you can see, Sainz just getting a little bit out of shape. I've also got no idea how we survived that start without any front wing damage. But right on the outside of our former McLaren teammate, we only lose 2 places then by the end of lap 1. But Verstappen already trying to streak off into the distance in the lead. Well, it's a heavily skewed statistic, but Lando Norris last weekend became McLaren's highest ever point scorer in Formula 1. He scored 960 points for the team, so he should comfortably cross the 1,000 point barrier by the end of the year. Verstappen 29.4, we do a 28.9. So it looks like we have got the pace in this car early on in the day, but again, trying to get the run down in towards turn 1 is not going to be easy there as well. Oscar Piastri just thinking about a move on George Russell. But everybody just trying to stay fairly cool, calm and collected early on. Our teammate tucked under that rear wing of the Mercedes car. They obviously, well, George Russell, to be fair to me, had a really, really solid US Grand Prix last weekend as well. So we just close in on the brakes as well. But unless we can try and find an avenue around our teammate, obviously McLaren have agreed they will work in Lando Norris's favour by the end of the year. Papaya rules and all that, apparently. But still unable to find a way through. Well, let's see if we can try and get a run then out of that final corner. Get on that throttle nice and early. Try to carry the speed off of the corner as best as we can. You lose a little bit as the field concertina is out, but you can see instantly nearly a second slower than we did the lap before. So we're going to really try and drain our battery here. Oscar Piastri, he clearly doesn't want to play the team game too early on, as we will try and go late on the brakes. They're all a little bit of contact as well, as I think we tried to chop in a bit too early. Oscar Piastri just understeered slightly all at the same time. We do move into P3, but we've done a lot of bumper cars early on. Well, it's only lap 5. Team already are saying that the rain is starting to ease off, and I'm tempted to try and go for an undercut onto the intermediate tyre. You can see Verstappen, he's got about a 4-second lead at the moment, and yeah, usually the intermediates actually work pretty well inside this game. This is a big, big gamble early on in the GP. There is a massive overlap between the inters and the full wets. In fact, a lot of esports drivers say the inters are just pretty much always the better tyre in this game for how much traction there is.
That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting.
I mean, we're going to have a lot of overtaking to do over the next few laps there, as Logan Sargent, yeah, out at the rear of the field. He's a little way off the rest of the group.
White line on the exit will receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
So the gap to Logan then, yeah, it's going to be about 5.5 seconds as we make our way out the pits. And we should be a good second or two quicker than that Williams anyway. But instantly down towards turn 1, the car feels pretty good.
It might be worth thinking about putting a set of full wets on. We've seen a few teams change over already.
Yeah, well, Mark, you might think that. I've taken 2 seconds out of Logan Sargent so far on this lap, and we went purple through the middle sector. How on earth on this game still they can say things like that when I'm clearly going faster than everybody else? Never ceases to amaze me. It's those little things in F1 24 that I think still bother people. But purple sector 2, purple sector 3, nobody else has pit yet. We have got a huge chance to undercut. I mean, I wish there was the option to tell the team to bring in your teammate as well. McLaren would be looking at this data, and I mean, everybody will be looking at this data and immediately trying to pit their own cars in. As wheel to wheel with Logan Sargent, we're going to go. You just see how much more comfortable we are on the brakes there around the outside of the American. Verstappen just set a new fast lap of the day. So track conditions are definitely getting better anyway. As we just dance between the white lines through those final couple of corners. Are we about to absolutely smash that lap time by the Dutchman? Yes, we are. By near enough 2 seconds. Well, Verstappen knows he is under pressure at the moment, but this is just going fantastically. I think last weekend Haas were some of the stars of the show in COTA. They pretty much instantly closed in that gap to VCARB in the Constructors' Championship in the last few races there. And the only issue we've got in this race is that they're really slow, and they're right on my nose. As round the outside of Hulkenberg will go. Yeah, definitely. I'm not expecting this weekend to suit the Haas team as well as last time out did. It's got yellows out for somebody. Don't know who it is that's potentially ran into issues in this Grand Prix. Oh, it was Hulkenberg behind me. Hulkenberg went for a spin behind me then, so certainly not what he wanted to do at this stage of the race. As we'll try and get the run on his teammate Kevin Magnussen back down in towards turn 1. I mean, we need to try and navigate all these guys as quickly as we possibly can. And I'm not really sure why Zhou's trying to do that down towards turn 1. A little bit of a dangerous moving in the braking zone. But we've got the confidence, we've got the speed, we've got the car, and we've got P16. I would genuinely love to know whether Bottas felt George Russell deserved a 5-second penalty last weekend.
We're happy for you to stay out on the inters for now.
As we make another move done then. Yeah, I genuinely reckon Bottas would be there going, even I don't think that's a 5-second penalty. Not that he would have been competing with George for very long anyway in that Grand Prix, but you can see purple through Sector 1 again, green through Sector 2, so track is really now starting to dry up, and it wouldn't surprise me if we start to see more AI into the pit lane pretty soon. Verstappen still out there at the front of the order. Of course, Oscar Piastri, one of the only lucky ones that won't have to deal with his teammate pitting. Why is nobody else boxing as, again, we're going to take another new fastest lap? I mean, I'm starting to consider whether we're nearly at the crossover point to dry compound tyres, and the AI still all out here on their full wets as well. We want to try and sneak up the inside of our former teammate Daniel Ricciardo. I wonder whether he watched the US Grand Prix over last weekend as well, or whether he thought, you know what, I'm not that invested all of a sudden. But yeah, down the inside we'll go into the stadium, just so I get the car slowed down on the way in there. And now Alex Albon, another one that seems to be under a little bit more pressure than I think he ever thought he'd be towards the end of the year. Franco Colapinto has done a really, really good job in recent races. As finally, Sergio Perez becomes your first AI into the pit lane then of this Grand Prix. So hopefully for Checo, that strategy is going to work out quite well, of course, at his home race. Can we try and have a look around the outside of Alex Albon? Yes, we can. And that's another one. I mean, this is ridiculous. How on earth the AI have left their cars out for as long as they have in this Grand Prix. We've got yellows out again. Please don't be a mechanical failure for someone there as well. We were very, very lucky with the timing of that one. That could have been an illegal overtake as Daniel Ricciardo, our first retirement. Oh, no! That works out really well for the AI, though. A virtual safety car will slow us down. Why is everybody not pitting? No one is in the pit lane despite that. Why Alpine of all people? You had a golden chance here to really try and leapfrog your way up. Why is nobody boxing in this race? At least it hasn't given the AI a chance to get into the pit lane for a second time round there. I really did wonder for a second whether it would just come in after Verstappen had made his way through the pit lane, but immediately we're going to go back on the attack then, this time around Esteban Ocon. And we're going to finally get ourselves back up into the points of this GP as Verstappen's still not in. Come on, please, McLaren, box Oscar. I'm begging you. Somebody, anybody, box cars at this stage. I mean, the inters, the tyre wear's non-existent on them.
utilise some of this energy. Come on.
I mean, look at that. We've done what? About 10 laps on these tyres, just under, and they're only at 14% wear. They'll go to the end. What on earth are the AI worried about? Because we're going to try and get a run on Pierre Gasly anyway, back down in towards turn 1. Should be another fairly textbook move, and it is. I genuinely don't believe we're that far away from the dry compound tyres in this race. Like, seriously. And the AI are all still hanging out here on the wets. We're going close to 3 seconds a lap faster. Unless they're trying to all make the transition from wet straight to dry, like Hamilton did at the 2016 Monaco Grand Prix, I just don't see why they're all doing this. And I mean, McLaren have got all the data. Everybody else should be able to see the lap times that we are putting in. Surely you would make the switch now, or 5 laps ago even. But still, no one is opting to dive into the pit lane here. I mean, I would be screaming at Oscar to get in. Of course it's the right call. We're going faster than everybody else all the time. I mean, even Perez, to be fair to him, he's the only other one that's made the switch. He might actually be able to get ahead of Verstappen by the end of this, as long as he can get through those backmarker cars pretty quickly. Verstappen, yeah, I mean, he's got all the data as well. And Perez is definitely going quicker than his teammate. This is so weird there, as Lance Stroll just up in front, struggling to get the power down. Hamilton, a US Grand Prix weekend to forget last time out. Is he going to try and defend from us? We'll try to look around the outside of Lance, or just could tell there. Lance Stroll, his awareness stat on this game should be about 3. Just like his real life driving. We'll move up into 7th then, but hopefully that's going to become 6th pretty quickly as we tuck our way into the S's. I mean, we're just so much faster than the AI here. Even that 3-second gap between Stroll and Alonso, we know we'll carve out in, what, 2 laps maximum. Let's try and get the run again. This isn't usually a good overtaking spot around this venue, but it seems to work for us today. And we'll do another one. DRS is enabled. DRS has been enabled, and still everybody else is on the wet tyre here. What on earth is this? Is finally they're all going to start diving into the pit lane then, so we are going to be up into the lead of this Grand Prix. They are going straight to dries. So the AI then might have pulled a blinder out here. I've been confused all afternoon by what they've been doing, but the AI all opt to move over to the hard compounded tyre. And well, I'm going to dive in pretty soon, but I think the only chance we've got is to go to softs and then hope we are still rapid towards the end of this race. I was not expecting that. Well, just watching the gaps then as this lap has gone on. We haven't lost much to the AI, but we aren't quicker anymore, so immediately, I cannot believe they've been able to make that work. Going from full wets to dry compound tyre. The tyres, like the track conditions on this game are so weird. But we're going to peel in onto a set of the dries. But we're going to opt for the soft compound tyres. Only 7 laps left of this race. Please be a quick stop. There we go. That was not bad. But we are, I mean, where are we going to re-emerge? It's going to be out, down a little bit down the order. I mean, Verstappen, he's still got a huge lead at the front. So we try and get on that throttle as soon as we possibly can. Up into P5 then of this race. But Verstappen here, he and Red Bull might have pulled out a blinder. We basically need qualifying laps towards the end of this. Our tyres are slightly fresher. They are definitely a lot softer than the AI. But we're going to have a lot of grip. But, I mean, we've got like close to 10 seconds that we need to take out of the Dutchman here. We're going to need to absolutely fly in these final few laps. And immediately we will muscle our way to the inside of Alonso there. We cannot take any prisoners late on. We've got to move. Being said that, we've definitely got the pace as we're going to go for a second overtake of the day, I believe, on Carlos Sainz around the outside. Well, you can just see now it's a lot more difficult trying to outbrake the AI. The pace difference will be a lot less than our inters versus their dries. Can we get in the range of Russell? Oh, we've been right on the cusp there as Verstappen. There's a 19.7. Of course you are. I mean, yeah, we've definitely got the pace advantages, though. As we'll have a look down the inside of George Russell. He knows our title is on the line there. And, well, we're kind of, yeah, just going to bobble over the curb slightly. A tiny bit of wheel-to-wheel contact with George. But as we ride our way through this middle sector, see that gap does still come down to Verstappen pretty quickly. We took about 4/10 out of him. This race is not done. Verstappen does an 18.6. We want to be looking then, ideally, at about a 17 here to make our way at the final corner. 17.2. 1.4 out of him that lap. And remember, we didn't have DRS. Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. I think that might be Oscar Piastri. No, it's George Russell. Russell breaking down then late on in this Grand Prix. So he's going to join Daniel Ricciardo on the sidelines. Disappointment for George on what was, again, looking like a really strong drive. I can't believe, after everything we spoke about earlier on in the race, about what on earth the AI were doing with their strategies and things, they've absolutely got to nail it. I just cannot work out how on earth they've been able to do that over the course of the afternoon. I really did think, based on everything that was going on, we were going to dominate in the second half of this race, but Verstappen still with a 6-second lead. Less than 4 laps to go now. I think unless he gets some kind of issues or we get like a 1-lap safety car or something, Verstappen looks set to take another Grand Prix victory this year. And I think this might just cement him as your champion. We're not going to give up in the final 4 races, but we are going to need a miracle as we start the last lap then of the Grand Prix. Even these soft compound tyres, they've only done a few laps and even they haven't held on very well. Struggling with rear tyre temperature towards the end, and it has completely nerfed any hope we have of trying to get back up to the Dutchman here. Like I said, I just cannot believe the AI have managed that in this Grand Prix. We got another race actually coming out later on today over on Mat 2 and 2 gameplay in the co-op career mode with Gary, and that's another one where the AI do some very peculiar strategies as well. But ultimately for us this afternoon, you know, we did everything by the book, and unfortunately by the book has not worked for us. Verstappen, he's going to extend his World Championship lead at the top of the table only by another 6 points, but with just 4 races to go now, we're going to need a miracle, aren't we? We have got those couple of sprints, but we need to have a mechanical failure, take some grid penalties. I don't even know if we can do that in Grand Prix mode on this game. Just something, anything, to try and give us a helping hand towards the end of the campaign. Through the final corners, Verstappen will win the Mexico Grand Prix once again. We pushed all afternoon long. It is P2 for Lando.
She made my life tougher.
Out of the final corner for the final time, Max Verstappen takes the win.
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They've performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
There we go then. Max Verstappen takes the dub here in Mexico in what was a very, very entertaining race in terms of strategy. If we get something like that over the weekend, I think we're in for a decent one there. Norris in P2 ahead of Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz, Hamilton, Charles Leclerc after all that pace last weekend just had nothing here. Beating out Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Tsunoda pips Perez as well to that final points paying position come the end of the day. Ricciardo and George Russell, the two drivers that failed to see the checkered flag there, but slow drives from Logan Sargent and Nico Hülkenberg there. Bottas up in P14. It's a pretty good race weekend by Sauber's standards late on in the campaign. But what's that going to do to your points? Well, it does mean, yeah, Verstappen now has a 66-point buffer as we head into Brazil next weekend. 2 more sprints, maybe they can help us out, but really, we just need somewhere where we take the full 25 out of Max and hope that, yeah, in the races leading up to that, we can try and get some wins once again there. We seem to run a pattern of we'll win like a race or two, and then Verstappen will just get us again towards the end of the campaign. But I think if anything, that makes it realistic, if nothing else. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back next week ready in Brazil.